wanted to give you some code that you can practice doing some CSS formatting too. So I've got the directions up here. So you're going to go to this website. You're just going to copy paste the web address. I've already got it open here. And so I want you to have some other text in here to format. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, it tells you to step 2, delete the 2 paragraphs that are in the code section of that web page. So we're going to go back over here. I've highlighted, I'm just going to delete them. And we're going to place in the body section, it doesn't matter how much space you leave, but that's where the code's going to go. And we're going to take the code, let's go back to the directions, and it says here, I'm going to copy paste the code below the dash line in between the body and the slash body tag. So I'm going to start with this H1, I'm going to grab all that text, all that code, copy it, go back to the browser, the left-hand side, anywhere after body and before slash body. And we're going to paste it. We look at the directions. In order for it to process, we have to hit the run button. So I've got that in the directions. Okay, so step 4 is run. So let's return over here and hit run. So now it gives you some text that you can work with. The only CSS that is currently added in here is one tag selector. Okay, so again, the style settings, this is an embedded style, and it is inside the web page in the head section. So whatever I change here, I have to run and it will change it. So you can see that it changed the color of the text to orange. If I don't want text to be centered, I can change that value. Now, when I run it, it will make the change. But you'll see it's not affecting other items here because we need to add more selectors. So let's experiment here. I'll show you how to do this, and I'll give you a link to a website where you can look up more things. So in order to be able to control a selector, we have to know what our selectors are that exist in the document. So I have some H1s, some H2s, and I've listed all of the selectors that you could possibly use in step 5 here. So the other thing you're going to want to do is have this web page open where you can actually look up codes. So you would just copy that and open it up in a second browser tab. So if I wanted to, for example, change the appearance of my H2s, I have a couple of H2s. So you isolate the selector, and then you set up your braces. You can do it all in the same line. I'm just going to show you here. I'm just going to do a simple change. So we know that our text color for this is orange. I'm going to change my H2s to blue. And there is a certain way you do this. So we put the property we're trying to change, which is the color, and then we put it to a value. We assign a value, and it's done with a colon, and you space before the value is plugged in. And then if you only have one property and a value, then that's all you do, and then you would close the curly braces. So I don't have to necessarily put them on separate lines like this, but I must enclose the property and the value in a pair of curly braces, and technically you are supposed to add a semicolon at the end. So let's take a look at what happens when I add this new selector with these properties and values. When I hit run, it's going to find anything with an H2. Here's the first one, here's the second one, and the third one. And what it's done is it's gone through and it found every single H2 and automatically changed the color. Now, if I wanted to add in other items or other properties, I need to know what other properties I can put in here. Okay, so that's what this web page is about. So if you want to go in and experiment, you have to be willing to read and figure out some things. So I'm just going to show you one. I'm not going to show you where I found it because I want you guys to do it, but I'm just going to add in one more. If I want to do it in the same, like change my H2 selector, I can add a space. I'm going to use another one called background color, and I'm going to add a background color. So this is just showing you Either way, you can isolate them on their own separate line if you like that, or you can add two into the same one without putting it on a new line. As long as there is the proper separator here of a semicolon, it will work. As long as this property exists and this value exists, it will apply it. And I'm going to go ahead and run it so you can see what happens. So it added the background to the H2s. So again, you have to be on this page to experiment. I'm just going to show you a couple. If I wanted more padding around the background color, I can add that in. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a quick one. Let's say I'm going to do padding, colon, and then I'm going to set it up for pixels. I'm going to put in 12px, just so you can see what that does, and end it with a semicolon. And I'm going to run that. And that's what 12 pixels worth of padding does. So I'm not going to go through all of the different codes, but I wanted to show you kind of what I want you to do. So the selectors that you're going to be working with are listed out here. So you're going to change the appearance of all of these different things. The last four are all dealing with hyperlinks. So I'll just show you one quick thing for a hyperlink. And let's see, let's go back to the web page. So if I were going to change the appearance of hyperlinks, this is the first one. Set up the braces and then go in there. By default, all hyperlinks are blue and underlined. A simple one that you can do is a text decoration, colon, none. And what that will do is remove the underline. So let's take a look at what they look like now. Here's what they look like by default. And now I've added this new selector property and value here. Let's run it. Now it removed it. There's still hyperlinks, but again, you can further change the appearance of what the hyperlink looks like. If you don't like the color, you can go in here and you can set a color value. I'll just put green, and so on and so forth. Run it, and it's going to change the appearance. So let me just explain one more thing on the hyperlinks so you understand. So this is the appearance of a hyperlink before it's clicked. This is the appearance of a hyperlink after it's been visited. This is when you roll over a hyperlink to make it change colors. So you could have a background color assigned and it will almost create a button effect. And then you have the active, which is kind of a strange one, which is in the act of clicking the mouse, you can assign different properties. So there's actually 4 different properties that you can control of a hyperlink. So you just have to be willing to experiment. One other new code that you're not familiar with is the HR tag. The HR tag stands for horizontal rule. And the horizontal rule is just a line. Let me show you what that looks like here. This line right here, that's the HR. And the code for that, it's a one-sided tag, that's why it has the slash in it, but you can actually control the appearance of any HTML tag. So if I want to control the appearance of the HR tag, I would set it up as an isolated selector. You don't put the slash in, set up the braces, and try to come up with something in the braces that will be processed. Now it's not going to be text decoration none, but you can change the thickness of the line, how wide the line, and again, you find all of these new properties to experiment with on this tab, and it tells you right here by category. So you just have to be willing to go in there and experiment. Once you've added the different selectors and tried to format the appearance of these different selectors, I'm going to have you take the code from the web page that you've done. Just take all of this. We're going to copy that. Make sure you get all the way from the beginning. You're going to Control-C, copy. You're going to go to Notepad, and you're going to create a new document. You're going to paste all of that code, and then you're going to do a file, save as, and save it in your account, and put last name underscore CSS, and that's going to be your file name, .htm, obviously your last name, because you're not last name Bodio. And then once you hit save, you'll have it in your account and you'll be able to see it as the HTML file, and then when you click and load it, it's going to open up and show you what it looks like on your end, because once you close the browser window, you'll lose the code. So this is a way for you to retain the code. And if you go to the folder, right, and you right click and open with, you can still edit it. So if you wanted to change something, I'm just going to change this to red. When I save it and go back here and refresh, it'll pick up, there's my red text. And you're going to be uploading the HTML file to the drop folder, so I can see what you've learned about CSS selectors and how to assign different properties and values.